My friend and partner in crime, Tulio Siragusa, who'll be the co-host for today. Say hi to everybody, Tulio.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
And our fantastic guest today is Paula Tompkins, CEO of ChannelNet. And the topic for today is to how to use customer experiences to create relevant experiences and build trust and drive loyalty in a digital world. So Paula, welcome to the show. In the next 30 minutes, I look forward to knowing you more and knowing a little more about what you do in this digital world of ours. It's fantastic to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
And Paula, for the next couple of minutes, it would be great to understand a little more about you. So why don't we start with knowing a little more about who and what Paula Tompkins is about?
Well, thanks. It's a long story that started in Huntington, West Virginia. I was born and raised in Appalachia and went to college there, Marshall University. We are Marshall. As you might recall, the plane crash happened, and I actually lost 6 of my best friends' parents, mothers, fathers, etc. So, and they did a movie about it recently, which was a lot of fun. We went to the preview, but I left my university, graduated, I was recruited to work on Wall Street at the Bank of New York, which was a shock for a small town country girl. I didn't know how to walk, talk, be a Wall Streeter, and I found banking to be pretty boring. I was a commercial lending representative, and I was down on Wall Street in my bright yellow suits, and everybody was so conservative and was from all the blue blood, universities, the Yales, the Browns, the Harvards, the Princetons, and there was little old me, Huntington, West Virginia. But I was recruited in the first class where they brought in actually women and African Americans, or blacks. And within a year, I think there was one woman left. So it was the early days of trying to diversify the workplace. I went on then to work for 3M Company, and my territory was the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and Long Island. Talk about culture shock. At 3M, I was trained to go into the back of factories and problem solve for the workers that were using our products. And that's where I learned needs-based selling and what it was all about. And then I got the California bug, moved to the Bay Area, and went to work in Silicon Valley for General Electric. And there again was selling, high-tech equipment that would go into computers and devices. And so I got the bug myself, went to work for a startup. That startup was in the early days of personal computers. And in those days, the operating system was primarily CPM.
Wow.
I go way back. And there was a luggable computer made by Adam Osborne. Do any of you remember that? The luggable. And the company I went to work for decided they wanted to go into competition with Mr. Osborne. And so long story short, the company went from 4 people to 400 to 4 in literally 12 months. And so that was my MBA in Silicon Valley. And then I was hired by a high-tech battery manufacturer. So I've been around we talk about, cars that are run on batteries, and I have a Tesla, by the way. And so long story short, in that regard, they had a patent on putting electronics in airline tray tables. and they were planning on putting like Donkey Kong in the tray table for children to play with. And I was brought in to sort of revamp the whole thing. And we're talking about way, 1982, 83, 84. I mean, imagine.
Adoption, yeah.
Yeah. And so we pulled together a plane with United Airlines. We tested it. It was very successful. We reconfigured the product around 80% of the people flying up there are business people, and they don't want to play Donkey Kong. And so we came up with a whole concept, which, how many years ago when we got screens in the back of seats so we could watch video? I mean, it's taken, and I was out doing this stuff back in the early 80s. And then by 85, I said, enough. The hardware challenges in an airplane and the FAA and the safety created, and they don't rewire these planes, but every 7 years, right? So I said, look, I'm going to get into something, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to use available PC technology. And in those days, 85, when I started the company, there were only 10 million personal computers in the entire world. And I started the company. I don't know if you can see across my shoulder. Whoops, that's
it's on the other side, but I see it. I see a vintage computer. I was going to ask.
Yeah, that's the Macintosh.
It's all Mac.
Yeah, it's an old Mac. I don't have the dot matrix printer anymore, but it had 128K of memory and a single disk drive, and I had to buy a separate disk drive. And I picked up the phone and I started calling major corporations and saying, I have a new way that you can communicate with your customers. And we're going to use a diskette. And in those days, they were 5 1/4 and 3.5 inch. And we're going to plug them into, we're going to package them up, and we're going to advertise them in PC magazines. And so these big corporations like Ford and General Motors and Chase Manhattan Bank all said, are you crazy? And I said, well, let's do some focus groups. So lo and behold, we brought people into the room, into multiple rooms in multiple cities. And we asked the question, have you ever thought about, other than, word processing or spreadsheets or, what you would do with the personal computer? And would you ever think about buying a product or service on a personal computer? And the answer was, well, maybe software or hardware. And then we started probing and saying, well, what other kinds of products? And they just started spewing forward. Well, microwaves, refrigerators, insurance policies, cars. Which cars? It would be Toyota. Toyota would do something like this. And well, lo and behold, it wasn't Toyota. It was General Motors Buick division that was sponsoring this focus group. And lo and behold, these people said Toyota. Well, it turns out that, I don't know if you remember the advertising, but Buick, everybody said Buick. Gosh, my uncle or my grandfather drove one of those. And so, so now we were going to be able to reach an audience that had given up on American domestic cars in the 80s and was sick of the maintenance problems and the lack of quality. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but so that launched my company. And we went on over the years. The company is 100% bootstrapped. I have been bootstrapped for 35 years. I'm on my 4th economic downturn. I thought 3 was a charm, but no, thanks to COVID, I'm now involved in number 4. Starting in the early 90s, based upon all the experience I'd had before the internet, we ended up putting Ford Motor Company on the internet, a number of large companies, inventing dealer websites for the automotive industry. I mean, when you buy a car, when you go to research a car, what's one of the first things you do? You look for the inventory. So I lived through all those crazy times, the 2001 meltdown, We were preaching, omni-channel back then. And of course, during the dot-com crisis, it was all about, minimizing, we're going to disintermediate everything, right? Well, look at us today. Have we disintermediated car sales? We've made some dents. We've made some changes. We're adapting. We then, not only that, but we moved into home improvement. We moved into any kind of considered product or service where you needed the technology to help the customer do the research and figure out the best product and service based on their needs. And then we needed to be able to connect them with a human and a product or a distribution channel that could help them realize or buy that product. And so we've been heavily involved in, as I said, home improvement, the auto industry over the years. We moved heavily into auto financing, which is a world all to its own. We all think of, the financing is kind of done at the dealership, but it's a very complex kettle of fish. And we're going to see, I think, a huge move toward auto financing online more and more. Then more recently in 2018, we moved into banks and credit unions, small, medium, and large. Up to 2018, we chose to work with extremely large mega enterprises. And then come about 2018, I packaged our patented platform, and I have 2 patents, one on data-driven personalization and the other on component-based architecture. And so I think that's very, very interesting. It took us a long time to get those patents, like 10 years. So we took the platform that was very expansive and highly customizable, and we packaged it into small, medium, and large packages for banks and credit unions. And with the pandemic, have things changed? Nobody goes to a branch anymore, right?
And tell us a little about that, right? Like, how has the pandemic affected your business and your customers' business, right? So in fact, our guest from last week she was from the auto finance industry, and she was talking about how, it has been a disruptive force, right? Some positive, some negative, right? So some of your customers, I'm pretty sure, have benefited from this whole situation, and some of them have not, right? So how are you handling that, and how are your customers being impacted?
The world is turned upside down, and there's no doubt about it. And everybody in the banking and financial space, banks, credit unions, and I'm talking about the small, medium, and large, are very heavily disrupted by digital. And they thought they had 5 years to catch up with the Chases and the Bank of Americas and the big guys. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, they've had to turn on a dime. And we are seeing them move faster and make decisions quicker and be more experimental than they've ever been. So it's an exciting time. There's a tremendous amount of educational to do with the banks and credit unions. These people, marketing to them has been primarily, the branch, direct mail, those kinds of things. And so, digital was, well, let's send an email here or there, or, yeah, we have a website. Oh, yes, we got mobile banking and online banking and a mobile app, and that they're done. Right. But now that's not the case. You've got to engage these customers digitally. You have to be relevant. You have to understand their needs. You have to engage them in all new ways. And so I have a term I use and have used for many years called walk, run, ballet. And
we call it crawl, walk, run in our space, but walk, run, ballet sounds a lot more fun.
Paula, just real quick, Paula, just to kind of bring it back on our topic, the topic you chose was how brands create experiences for customers that build trust. is relevant and drives loyalty. Can you tell us a bit about this plan you use to drive and help brands create better experiences that build that kind of trust?
Absolutely. So basically, we have a digital platform, and that platform allows us to consume data from many, many, many sources. But when you work with banks, credit unions, auto finances, they have a lot of data on that customer, right? They know your income, they know your credit score, they can create a persona, they know the length of the term of the loan or whether you have a deposit account. So we consume that data on a frequent basis. We can have real-time interaction, but through web services and APIs, but I discourage that out of the gate because now we're tangled up with IT and they're all swamped and busy. So we'll even consume a data file, a plain old data file, and then we curate content from all their channels. And curating content, I mean, we curate content from Facebook, from blogs, from educational content, from products and services, from we engage them with surveys and life events. And so we combine all this into a very holistic experience based on the data that we've consumed. So we don't try to sell them a checking account if they have one, or a credit card if they have one. And so that's very important. The second thing is we have all their, address data. So how do you build trust? When is it important to build trust? Right out of the gate, it's when there's a disaster, right? You have a flood, a hurricane, you have a tornado, you have a fire, as in California. You know what products and services those customers have. You know where they are by zip code and where that storm or event has happened. And you can reach out to those people and offer them help and connect them with humans that can help them with debt consolidation and purchasing a new car because their car was trashed, or, just that's the empathy moments that really drive trust.
Yeah. Also, right? Like, how is your best? Like, if I know that there's various ways of digital outreach out there today, right? There's maybe 20 different ways, or maybe more, right? What works more? Are there any preferred ways of contact that is either more effective, resonates better, or is more quick to generate results for both your customers and for your business?
Well, okay, so right out of the gate, the minute a new customer or member joins a financial institution, we want to welcome them. Okay, that you've got in the financial services sector 90 days to cross-sell that person. Okay, and if you don't cross-sell them in that 90 days, you probably never will, and they will defect. Okay, because the more products they adopt, the stickier you are as an institution, the longer you stay with them. And so that increases your share of the customer's wallet. And that's what they're all after. And so we, right out of the gate, welcome that member or customer. We offer them suggestions. Gee, you took a new loan. Please set up your auto pay or your paperless. That's a cost-saving measure for our clients right out of the gate. We also survey them with a brief net promoter score. How was the account opening experience? Thank you for opening your account online, in branch, at a SEG, at an event, and rate us. And then we instantly send that rating back to the organization so they can reach out and speak to that customer if they had a bad experience or if they had a good experience. We push them to social media to leave a review. So we're leveraging all the digital channels. We're consuming data from the digital channels. We're trying to find out what's going on in that member's life from a life event or a customer life event standpoint. Are they planning a retirement? Are they planning a college? Are they expecting a new baby? Are they getting married? So the more we learn about them, we incorporate that into existing data, and that allows us to retarget them with very specific experiences around getting married and how the bank or the credit union can help you with that life event.
Sounds like a deep personalization based
Yeah.
on an analysis of the data. You have these, I guess, hundreds of different ways to slice and dice the customer's profile.
Yeah.
And you know all these signals because you have data to back all of them, from what I can tell. Right?
Correct.
Then be that a simple thing as a life event, or like you said, 90 days to cross sell. Right? That's got to be statistically relevant. You've already established the science behind it. So, let's make the most of the 90 days by doing this, this, and this.
That's right.
So how do
But
you do it? Do you have a list of campaigns? Do you have a playbook by industry? How does that work?
Absolutely. I mean, we have nailed it. And the other thing is we're an open platform. So that allows us to bring into the experience things like appointment scheduling. Okay, I'd like to set up a virtual appointment, or I'd like to have someone come to my office. I'm a busy business person, right? And so I want to schedule a meeting. So we're going to see a dramatic change in the whole way things operate. And the problem is today with these large corporations and their websites and their departments and their divisions and their groups, they're all siloed. The customer doesn't want to go over here to do this, go over there to do that. You have to bring this into an experience that's relevant to them, like the wedding example. So yes, we have a playbook. We have, for example, a partner that helps us do next best product or service based upon deep analytics. So we know you have the credit card, but you don't have the HELOC, and we're going to try to pull you into a HELOC because you have a home loan, you've been with us 7 years, and you've made all your payments on time. So all those triggers can be set up and automated. So the whole platform is orchestrated. And as we move those customers or members through those experiences, we learn more and more and more. We are also very big on driving leads. We want, because a lot of people still need help with financial transactions. I don't know what that first mortgage. We need education on, what's important when you get married about combining your credit score and making sure Mr. Wonderful didn't buy too many Harleys and is up to his eyeballs in debt. So we have timed offers. There are times of the year where we know certain products and services are more relevant. When do you think about upgrading your home or doing some yard, building fences? It's the spring, right? When you think about buying a home, it's the spring, it's the summer. You don't typically buy a home in the middle of the winter in New York State, right? I mean, yes, there's those rare occasions. So you factor in seasonality, you factor in all their data, you factor in their persona. We have another partner that allows us to produce always on offers. And so those offers are, okay, I need a personal loan. Oh, let me run a little calculation. Click here. You don't even need to fill out a credit app because it's a hard offer. It's not some pre-approval thing where you got to go do all this work. So we bring in all these partners and all these other capabilities and orchestrate this from the customer point of view rather from the corporate point of view, right? And that is the biggest battle I've ever had in my whole life.
Yeah, Paula, that just stood out for me when you said look for the empathy opportunities. I've been in tech 31 years, and I've sat in rooms where you're strategizing about how to get more, hooks into the client, cross-sell opportunities, and it's always looking at where are there life changes or things that are going to trigger more opportunities. But never have I sat around saying, where's an opportunity to show empathy for this customer, help them out, right? That's never a discussion that comes up. It's always from the corporate out, point of view. How can I sell you more versus how can I help this person? And in doing so, build that kind of loyalty. Tell us a little bit about why is that something you have adopted? Is this something that reflects the culture of your own company, your values? How has that come into the picture? And what are the hurdles in helping organizations see it that way? Because I'm sure you've had some hurdles around that. Please share.
It's been, needless to say, 35 years of hell. I'm an entrepreneur and inventor. Okay, I didn't build my company to be some sort of venture-backed private equity yakety-yak. I built it because I believed I could change the way people go about buying and selling products and services and how you go about servicing customers with technology. Okay, so forget the internet and digital. I started before even had it. It has been a fight to the finish. And I get a lot of pushback from marketing because I think it's over their head. You get a lot of, if I get in front of a CEO or a certain type of CMO, an enlightened executive, they will bring us in an instant. But if I have to scratch my way up through some horrible bureaucracy, they already have 100 people doing something. What the hell are they doing? They don't know. They've got IT people over here doing this. They've got marketing people. Some of my clients, the marketing people don't talk to the other people. None of them talk to each other, and you're in there trying to drive leadership and you're trying to help them, educate them and help them understand. And they don't want to listen. Right.
And that's what it's all about, right? It's listening well and having that empathy for your customer, right? Who are you trying to help? Who are you trying to service? And, that's your true north right there.
It is. And putting the customer first, right? But we don't do that, even in the auto sector, okay? We've got a brand, they want to sell you a new car. They don't care about once you're in the brand, that now you belong to the customer service division. And that's a whole set of different people and different vendors. And then they pass you, then they say, oh, and you financed with our finance arm. And by the way, the finance arm is waiting for the brand to tell them what to do. And it's just a mishmash. And I have people that actually say to me, well, we do email campaigns and we have a website.
Well, that's digital, isn't it? That's digital.
What? And they don't even talk about text messaging. Okay, well, we can't do a double opt-in. Why not? If the customer wants it, give it to them. So I'm very passionate about this stuff. I've learned it over the years. In those original focus groups I mentioned to you, we heard it loud and clear. And it's just that the old traditional industries like banking and auto industry and home improvement industry are still kind of in the dark ages. And, literally say things like I send emails. Yeah. And what they do is they do a list pull, right? Some product manager runs in and says, I've got to increase my deposits this month. So now the marketing department runs around, does a list pull, give me all customers that don't have a deposit account, blast an email, woo. And guess what? The customer goes delete.
Spray and pray.
Spray and pray. You're my man.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Very interesting points, Paula, there. We're coming up on time. Any closing remarks that you want to share with us and the audience here? And thank you very much again for joining us today. So if you can just take the next 30 seconds to just quickly share a closing remark that you want to leave.
Well, all I'd like to say is that it's been a wild ride. We are going to come out of this COVID, but things are going to change. And digital is going to be important, and personalization is at the top of the list.
More than ever.
And we are not going back to the old way. So wake up, executives. I'm talking executives, not middle managers that are protecting territories and little departments protecting their little workforce. We're talking about get customer focused, and it's not hard and it's not expensive, and it can be done, but you can't do it in-house.
There you go. Thank you, Paula, again, digital pioneer, entrepreneur, and inventor. Thank you again for your time, and love to see that vintage Macintosh in the background with a message for executives out there. Get customer focused, go digital, or risk being disrupted. Thank you again.
Thank you. Loved it.
Stay with us as we go.